The night is not as it usually is. There is a deathly silence in the air. Behind the walls, people offer panicked prayers while outside death is being prepared. But this is no ordinary siege. This may be the moment in history where a deceased human was used as a weapon for the first time to win a war. And perhaps it is one of the first and most significant sparks of the Black Death that would soon ravage Europe. But wait, there is a major misconception in this story that everyone knows. Most people attribute this attack to Genghis Khan. However, the truth is much different and far darker. 1346, the Golden Horde and Canabek Khan. The year is 1346, a critical city on the shores of the Black Sea, Kaffa. This is no ordinary port. It is one of the Republic of Genoa's most vital trade hubs in the Black Sea, a center for silk, spices, gold, and the slave trade, the meeting point of East and West. But such wealth also brings great danger, as controlling such a city is the desire of every ruler, and one of the most feared powers in the world is at the gates, the Golden Horde. The army is led by Canabek Khan. Here is a critical detail. This siege did not take place during the time of Genghis Khan. By this date, Genghis Khan had long been dead. This event unfolds in the world established by his grandsons. History, however, often dislikes details. People simplify and cut history short, thus incorrectly portraying this horrific event as the brainchild of Genghis Khan. The reality is much more terrifying because this is not a legend. It is an experiment, the invisible enemy. The siege begins. The Golden Horde surrounds Kaffa. Land connections are severed. The port is closed to entry and exit. But the city does not fall. Days turn into weeks and weeks into months. The Genoese resist because they have an advantage that prevents the siege from becoming total. The sea. Ships bring supplies. Reinforcements arrive. The city continues to breathe. Meanwhile, the army outside grows impatient. Time is working against them. And at that exact moment, the invisible enemy takes the stage. The Black Death. At first, no one understands. A few soldiers fall ill, then the numbers grow, fevers soar, bodies tremble, swellings begin in the armpits and groins. And then death arrives in agony. Swift, merciless, irreversible. This is the bubonic plague, the most feared disease and the greatest loss of the Middle Ages. But here, something is different. This disease is not just a disaster. It is transformed into an opportunity. The first biological weapon, Canabek Khan's army, is in despair. Soldiers are dying one by one. The siege is on the brink of failure. But then, an inconceivable decision is made. Perhaps one of the darkest military maneuvers in history. The dead soldiers are begun to be hurled over the walls with catapults. Yes, you heard that right. Rotting, disease-ridden corpses are launched into the city. The goal is clear: to inject the disease inside, to achieve through sickness what could not be done through siege. And this is where the course of history changes. Because this was not just a siege tactic, it may be one of the first known examples of biological warfare. But did it really work? This remains a topic of debate among historians. Some say the plague was already in the city, others believe this move accelerated the catastrophe. But one thing is certain: Kaffa is no longer safe. The spread of death panic rises in the city. People die one by one, streets empty, trade grinds to a halt, and most importantly, the escape begins. Genoese merchants board their ships and flee the city. But there is something they don't realize. They aren't just carrying their goods. They are carrying death itself to wherever they go. The ships leave the Black Sea. They head towards the Mediterranean. and at every port they touch, they spread death, port by port, Sicily, then Genoa, Venice, Marseille, and then all of Europe. The Black Death is now uncontrollable. People do not know the cause of death. Cities are deserted. 1/3 of humanity perishes. One of the greatest pandemics in history begins. And perhaps everything is connected to that strategy at Kaffa. In conclusion, the siege of Kaffa was not just a war. It is the greatest proof of how far humanity can go in conflict. It is a demonstration of how disease and fear can be turned into a weapon. And perhaps the most chilling part is this: sometimes the greatest destruction comes not by the sword, but by an invisible idea.